In this series of Design Like an Alien, Samir will be working on a conceptual Lord Shiva's weapon, the Trident. He is creating this design for a tattoo. So he has got a design brief to follow from his client. Samir will take us through the entire process of designing. That is, from visualizing to conceptualizing, rough sketching to digital drawing without using any online references. Let's dive into the digital madness. Samir will be using an iPad Pro for the entire designing process from here on. He is using Autodesk Sketchbook for this design, as the symmetrical drawing feature is the best in this app. He took the photo and imported the image on Sketchbook. He is using the scale tool to draw a center guideline and has reduced the opacity of the reference image to 20%. He is using the symmetry tool and testing it out. He recommends all the artists to try this app out. It is one of the best drawing apps you will ever find on iPad. There are tons of options to go for when it comes to selecting brush for drawing. Samir likes the pencil brush as it works like a pencil with little bit of texture. He is again drawing a rough sketch where he plans to make few changes on the go and only start the final version once he is sure about the proportions and the details. As I mentioned earlier, he wants to have the rusty metal look to the overall design. He says, because it is drawing simultaneously, it gives him much more understanding on where the design is going. Do you recall Samir making faces? Now look at the bull. This is what he was perceiving in the mirror. As I said, you don't know what's in his mind until it's done. Samir disabled the old image reference as he has a new reference to work on. He again reduces the opacity to 20%. He needs no guidelines from here on, and so he has disabled that too. Samir is going for a bold brush with no texture to it to do a final pass. Samir highlights a lifesaver tip. He insists that important layers which you don't plan to use, like the reference layer, lock it out so that you don't accidentally work on it, as there is a limitation to do the undo command and you might end up messing the design. As you can see, he cannot draw on the locked layer. Samir has picked up another important tool. This tool is one of the best tools you will come across on digital apps. It straightens out your lines clean, also your curved lines. It's magical on how it reads and understands your hand flow and cleans the line out. A real time saver, right? Samir is blocking outlines, making few changes as and when required. and creates a new layer to work on it. The outline is complete, and now it's time to add gradients, shadows, and texture to make it dramatic and realistic. Samir likes to block shadows roughly. This allows him to decide the direction of the light. He is blocking darker areas. He prefers to do so because it gives him better clarity on how it is turning out to be. Samir uses a trick, or you can call it a technique, to create soft shading or gradients. First, he goes roughly with large soft brush size on the area where he wants the gradients to be. And then he erases it from the unwanted areas like you see in the video. He uses the line straightening tool with eraser brush to have clean straight cut through the center blade. He likes to play with different opacities and brush softness to create various shades and textures. He says that using this technique gives you very soft shades without any patches or roughness. He insists again on using new layer for each texture you create. As you can see, because he is using new layers for each texture, so when he is using eraser, it only erases that layer and rest stays untouched. He is going to use these simple techniques to render all the elements of this design while adding and modifying the details whenever required. All the while, the symmetrical tool is enabled, so he is only working on one side of the design. The other side is happening simultaneously. I am gonna sign off for a few minutes now while I let you immerse into this design madness. So stay tuned. You will be awestruck at the final outcome. I am sure you loved it so far.